Welcome back. It's reporter panel time. Before I do that, though, you eagle-eyed viewers probably noticed some additions to the family table. You see them right there. My thanks to our good friends at CBS Mornings. They were cleaning out some of their set. They had a little extra things left behind as they moved from one place to the other. They took pictures of these two candy dishes, one for the Democratic donkey, one for the Republican elephant, and said, "Major, do you want those for the takeout?" I said, "Send them as rapidly as you can." They did. They've got candy. Remember, reporters, it doesn't eat itself, so grab some candy before you go. To introduce you now, that's me, Matt Brown, Associated Press, Julia Manchester of The Hill. Robert Costa, my colleague, sat down with Rand Paul for CBS Sunday Morning and talked to him about several things. One, the war in Iran. Was the president led into it? And what he might, meaning Rand Paul, might do in 2028. Please listen.
I think he was misled by some of the more aggressive people. His basic instincts have been for less war.
What could be the political and economic cost should this war escalate and continue?
Well, the economic costs are very clear. In the political landscape, I think the longer this goes on, the less likely Republicans are able to hold on to the House and the Senate.
There was recently a headline in the Washington Examiner, Rand Paul sounds like he's running for president.
Yeah, I don't know yet. So maybe they know something I don't know. We're thinking about it, and I would say 50-50. We'll make a decision after the election, but I'm not going to do it just to do it. It would be, one, because we need to have a free market wing. We need to have a free trade wing of the party who's not eager for war and tries to at least explore diplomacy as an option to war.
Matt, it's been my experience. 50-50 means 80-20.
Yeah, exactly. It's really remarkable.
80-20, yes.
Yeah, it's interesting watching what's been going on the right over the past couple months since the war in the Middle East is outbroken. You've not just seen a split in the party, but also really almost a fracturing in some ways. I mean, Rand Paul has had his critiques of this, as well as Tucker Carlson and that wing of the party, and that has shown that Republicans are airing out some of their disagreements in public that really could be setting the stage for 2028.
And Julia, we even saw some South Carolina harassing fire. Nancy Mace saying that Lindsey Graham, the senior senator from South Carolina, dragging the country deeper into war because he's a very strong advocate of using ground forces to affect regime change.
You're certainly hearing more Republicans become more outspoken against the possibility of ground troops in Iran. Nancy Mace made those comments. You heard Congressman Tim Burchett from Tennessee over the weekend make similar comments, say if we go down this road, it's not going to be good for the party. Now, polling that we've seen of Republicans, particularly President Trump's very conservative MAGA base, shows that for the most part, the base is still behind President Trump. But I am curious, as you see more of these, leaders within the party, notable faces, media figures, for example, speaking out against the war, the possibility of ground troops, the impact on the economy, whether that trickles down to the base.
So over the weekend, about 8 million, and no one really seems to be disputing that number, 8 million Americans in 50 different states, that's all 50, showed up for these No Kings protests. Now, I know there's a sense of, well, that's just a reflexive hostility to Trump and Trumpism. Maybe it's Trump derangements, but 8 million is 8 million people. That's a lot. And it seems to indicate that there is something grassroots or otherwise going on that we ought to pay attention to for the midterms.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think that just as we were discussing maybe some of the divides or fracturing that you're seeing amongst Republicans, Democrats can't agree on much themselves, but they do agree that they're absolutely outraged with this administration. And you are seeing that in the streets when it comes to these No Kings protests, where the administration's immigration agenda, the administration's policies on foreign policy, and even some of Trump's economic policies like tariffs have been, the signs that they're taking over the streets in cities all across America. That energy is what Democrats are hoping they can translate into votes, but that also means that they're going to need to have a message that captures all of those different diverse viewpoints that we're describing.
And Julia, what was interesting about many of the protests, a lot of them were much more immigration-centered than war in Iran-centered, which compels, it seems to me, House and Senate Democrats to continue to hold the line in this DHS standoff.
Yeah, and it shows
over ICE reform.
Absolutely, and it shows, I think, how much we've seen a flip since 2024 when we saw President Trump campaigning not only on the economy, obviously that was a big issue, but on immigration and securing the southern border. And now Republicans find themselves on the defense. When it comes to the No Kings protests and the turnout we saw, though, I think it's important to caution and say, look, it's obviously 8 million people. Something is going on. But ahead of the midterms, we see these protests from time to time. The Women's March, for example. And what made the Women's March so unique is that it turned into something. It turned into donations, people running for office. So I think that will be the big test for No Kings.
It always is. Matt Brown, Julia Manchester, always appreciate your time. Thanks so much.